2024 meeting of your Hanover Borough Council meeting to order. I request that we all stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, follow that with a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and you're free to be seated. Secretary Felix, shall we call the roll?
Okay, Mr. Bub,
Here.
Mr. Fuentes,
Here.
Mrs. Funk. Here. Mrs. Greenholt. Here. Mr. Hegberg,
Here.
Mr. Kress,
Here.
Mr. Lookenbill,
Here.
Mr. Ricart,
Here.
Mr. Rowland,
Here. Here.
Dr. Rob.
Here.
Standing in for Solicitor Schultes, Zachary Rice.
Here.
Manager Lewis.
Here.
Mayor Whitman.
Here.
Secretary Felix, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. There was no executive session to announce, so at this time we will move into public comment. And I have three of you. The first will be Robert Holt, please.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening.
Robert Holt, P.O. Box 1131, Hanover. Hope to be less annoying today, sir.
Okay.
I still would like to ask for a public hearing or review of the 33 Frederick Street project, the scope of it, and why it had to cost $3.1 million, which was 4 times what you paid for the building. And the issue of traffic lights, traffic signals at Us and Kindig, I think it points again to we need to have a comprehensive traffic study of the community instead of this spot miss, placating special interests, and playing politics. And it's probably a good idea, knowing the area, but I just think more and more we just do these spot hits here and there. And more than 2 years ago, I asked for a stop sign at Maple, a 4-way stop at Maple and High. Only I just got lots of excuses. And finally, just for this round of comment, on this Guthrie Memorial Grant 2000, I'm going to ask again you reject it, just to send a signal, if for no other reason, to send a signal that the borough is no longer going to keep covering for deficits when they can't seem to pay all their bills at the end of the year, and money has to come out of the general fund. And so I send a signal, and also it just seems an extravagance and not necessary to the building. I looked at the concept. I can't tell what it tells us about the community, except there's a bunch of buildings. I don't think it says anything about the people who are here. In any case, if I can come back later, I appreciate it. If you don't have time, I understand that too. Thank you.
Next, we have Grace Mullen.
Haven't told us to be quiet yet, but we'll work on it. It's a work of art. Grace Mullen, 357 Centennial Avenue, Hanover. What else do you need? My phone number? My email? Nothing. Is that enough? Okay. I have been having a great time this week talking to different segments of of Hanover. And, I continue to want to address the fact that we just need more communication between borough representatives and the people that we serve. I talked to Ann Walco at the York County Planning Commission, and she was just great. She's going to research a way to separate the mailing information of borough residents by ward. So if they want to, you could even add something to the newsletter to your representatives, if you want to, not that it has to be done, but if it's all on the computer and all you have to do is push a button, what a cool way to communicate. And she's working on it. She hasn't figured it out yet. It's not easy. One of my suggestions has been, and I've talked to people, I wander through I live right nearby, so I wander through the Bureau offices, and I've talked to a couple of the people at the desk, and they love this idea that to make sure that, maybe I already said, the councilmen should all have business cards. And the idea would be, so often I've been there when a constituent comes in and goes, at the poor people behind the desk, and if they have a map and they have a business card, they can say, geez, that's a great idea. You know who you need to talk to? Or not, it's a great idea. I understand, I sympathize with your complaint. But why not talk to your representative and here's his business card? Here's his communication thing. And that would be step one. Step two would be to get you guys as representatives to have a little thing on your phone or in your email that says, gee, glad to hear from you. And you know what? If you come to the borough meeting next Wednesday, I'll be glad to talk. You introduce yourself and I'll be glad to talk to you. Come on, let's work together on this. And my only other thought is that, and the mayor is helping with this, and I think this is cool, and I think it affects all of you. We've got about a third of our voters are seniors. I've started this senior program with the mayor and Matt's cooperation. Many of these guys have limited, if any, access to the internet, and a large amount of many of them don't have computers. So I'm trying to figure out a better way to communicate. One of the things that I'm going to do, again, I tried Kate Klunk's office, but they can't help with this because of the politics. But we're going to try to get the seniors in for one of our meetings and do voter registration. Got the computers set up, have some little laptops there, and have it for all the Thursdays. And I just think that'll really help you all if we can get them registered. Of course, then we've got to get them out to vote, too. I didn't say I had all the problems solved, but I think that's a step in the right direction, and it shows that we care about these guys. Because most of them that I talk to go to the library to use not most, many go to the library to use the computer, and still, there's kind of a point and pick and try. Anyway, just some suggestions I had, and thank you for all you do.
Lastly, we'll hear from Sandy Moul.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Sandy Moul, and I come before you again to discuss the library issue. Last time, we discussed the Right to Know Act. I'm still having difficulty, even so much as locating a citation in order to complete those forms. I am aware of a meeting that...
Sandy, could you speak into the mic, please? I can hear you better then. Thank you.
I'm aware of a meeting that occurred in 2023 regarding the library, a meeting to discuss the threat of legal action against the library governance. At that conference, and I quote, after it was over, he agreed not to press charges. In other words, not to prosecute and not to adjudicate in the court of law a wrongful action, alleged wrongful action. Furthermore, in January, in this very building, Paul Minich, the attorney for the Library Board of Governors, refers to a letter agreeing not to appeal the Orphans Court decision should it go against the Guthrie Library. How can anyone with fiduciary responsibility forfeit their constitutional right to appeal an unfavorable court ruling in advance, and why? This, ladies and gentlemen, sounds like a plea deal. In exchange for not pressing charges, the library would forfeit the contents of the PA room and the reading room. It appears to be sealed, interfering with the obtaining information via the Right to Know Act. I promise you, I will not be deterred. I will not be intimidated or threatened by your operatives who have placed decapitated mice in my footsteps. I won't identify it by name, I'll use initials. BB at the library is fond of pulling up assault rifles, accessories like scopes, and ammunition in my face. And then this morning, as I document the vandalism that occurred yesterday afternoon at Elm Street Park, one of your operatives, who goes by 3 different names, beginning one with B, the other one with T, the other one with D, comes up, pulls up behind me, like 2 feet between her car, an orange and black Nissan, and says, puts on either a CD or a radio station or something with a male's voice that says, "I'm going to kill you."
Sandy, I need to ask you to try to wrap her up if you can.
I'm going to make the Young and Guthrie Library whole again. I'm going to make sure that the teens are able to enjoy their $75,000 renovation for more than a year. I'm going to make sure that parents with children can enjoy a mural that supposedly is going up in the children's section. And I'm also going to work so that people like myself can enjoy that library and read or refer to reference materials or to do research. Thank you.
Okay. With that, I will ask Community Media's able assistance to open us up to any online.
Now, those joining us via Zoom are able to unmute themselves if you wish to address council.
Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment at this time. We will move into the consent agenda. Prior to the meeting, there's been a request from councilors to remove item 6D to handle it separately outside of the consent agenda. So at this time, I, as chair, would request a motion for the consent agenda minus 6D. Okay, so moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Oh, that's right, we got 3 of you. Yes, yes, and yes?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Passes. At this time, before we move then into, I guess, reports of committees, we will specifically look at item 6D from the consent side, that being resolution number 1414. Is there a motion to approve that? Again, it's.
I'll make a motion.
Separate.
I'll second that motion.
A second? Is there a discussion on that motion? I
We
assume
have-
you'd like to.
Yeah, I just have a question or two.
Okay.
You have signs posted that is an area for non-alcoholic beverages because it's the baseball field and the playground. It's all for children.
Right.
How do we get around that approving? I know it's one of the largest fund makers for us, and I want to keep it, but I'm in opposition to holding it in an area where there are children. And I was approached, I was called on the phone by a father who said, I live in the area, but I have to take my kid to another playground because when they hold these events, they're allowed to filter clear up into that playground area, and it shouldn't be allowed. And this is no liquor allowed. So how do we break our own laws? I have to think about this, okay? So I'm handing it over to everybody to help with this. I want to keep the events, but I think we're holding it in the wrong place.
Would you think, are you advocating the separation between the playground equipment, if you will?
If we had to hold it there,
Yeah.
oh, absolutely.
Maybe a temporary fence
Well,
or
yeah,
something
because
that would
the
separate
father, the one father said to me, then I had 2 mothers, he said, I pay my taxes, And I shouldn't have to go put my kid in a car and drive to another playground when I can walk to my local playground. And he said, I don't want strangers coming up into that area. And he said some of the children go there without adult supervision. He said it's not safe and we shouldn't put our children at risk.
Right.
That's why I separated D from, okay?
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm just thinking, I worked at Chili Cookoff last year, and I don't recall going up in that area at all. It was all in the,
It's fenced in.
that part was completely, I mean, nobody went in that area.
Both
There wasn't
events are
anything up
fenced in.
Were
there.
you there the whole time? I mean, according to
I
his
was there.
father,
Yeah.
there were people that did stroll up there,
Matter of
and
fact,
they
they
didn't
actually
like
have
it.
their own play area within the chili cook-off for children to play.
Yeah, I know that, but they're saying they didn't want to go into that area.
No, but I'm saying they have a play area within the chili cook-off
Yeah, I
for children,
understand.
aside from the
What's
play
up
area
there
that's
at the
there.
play,
Yeah.
right, he didn't want to use
Yeah.
that area, okay?
What area?
He didn't want to go down into any of that area.
Well, he wouldn't
and
have
become-
to. He can't even get in there unless he has a ticket. The chili
I
cook-off's not
have,
free.
you know, he didn't explain any of that part to me. He just said, why why don't we have separation there? I
There
mean,
is
total
There's
separation.
totally fenced in for the chili
Well,
cook-off. It's
apparently
totally
there,
fenced in.
apparently there were
is.
a few people that got into that area. And I think when you're busy, sometimes you may miss, you know, a few stragglers here and there, but that can be dangerous. So I really want to look at this as, why do we hold it in a place that says non-alcoholic beverages? Because it is a child's area, okay? Could we hold it at Goodfield?
We used to hold it there, but we moved it over to Mountfield.
Why was that?
Because they got a grant to redo all the baseball fields. So in order to keep those baseball fields intact, they would have to totally fence off all the baseball fields, therefore limiting the area that the chili cook-off would be able to have all their vendors.
Well,
And they're trying, so as far as I understand it, AJ can maybe corroborate it, we're trying to move all of our events over to Mountfield and away from Goodfield.
What's wrong with Eagles?
what's what?
Eagles,
Briefly.
We don't own that.
So just a brief
good, get
explanation
permission.
of the event. All the parks fall under the same rules as far as alcoholic beverages.
Okay.
There are exceptions made by permit, so that's why council votes on those events and to have the special events. The playground area that you were referring to is the regular playground area there with the jungle gyms and swing sets and everything. That is not included in the fenced-in area. What the mayor was referring to, the Chili Cook-Off creates their own temporary
Yeah.
play area for
Yeah.
children. That's not what we provide normally as the borough.
Right.
So the standard playground is still open to the public and for anybody to use even during the event.
And that's what he left me the understanding with, is that, you know, it, even though you have separation, there are still stragglers who go into that area.
should get rid of the alcohol, period.
What?
Should get rid of the alcohol there,
Well, they're not
period.
allowed to leave the chili cook-off with alcohol.
That don't matter, it's inciting drinking and driving. All those people there all day drinking, then they gotta drive, go home.
Anybody else? Questions, comments?
I was wondering if the chief police are there any incidents that are worth mentioning to ease the,
I believe we have the chief here. He's at our
Yeah.
Well,
disposal.
after it's over, it's too late.
you understand what I'm
Yeah.
going for?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I can't speak specifically. Over the years, incidents inside the event have been very minimal, as have incidents outside. There have been a couple fights, there's been a couple DUI-related accidents over the years, but as a whole, the event is not a problem for the police department.
Do we have officers over there?
We usually restrict the shift that day, and they do periodic foot patrols throughout the day over there. And again, the
Check
question...
in and
Yes.
the area.
And again, the question came up, I think last year, was how do we prevent people from leaving the footprint of the event with alcohol? And basically is they're leaving the footprint of the event into the park, which, again, there's rules against alcohol. Therefore, you leave your drink at the exit and you're on your merry way.
Yeah. So it sounds like we need just to do, the event runners need to police it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Not your police, but,
That might be a good idea, Bill.
yeah.
Is there a red card?
I
Yes,
don't
sir.
want to see children hurt.
I work with Brenda with this event, and we do provide additional security. So Brenda, she does have additional security on site, that some are off-duty police officers. So, and that is also going to increase in size. If we can this year, we can get the guys to come out. We're going to increase the size of that presence. So not only do we have our own department, we also have security for the cook-off itself. That consists of men and women, and it's going to be, some will be off-duty police officers as well on site. Just want to let you know that she's already looking into that and increasing that presence as well. Okay?
Thank you. Anyone with anything else to bear on the issue before
Said
we
you
call
wouldn't have
the
to do that if you get rid of the alcohol.
Okay, I will
Period.
call the question, that being, the motion being Resolution 1414 to approve alcohol use and sales on Moul for the following two events, the Chili Cook-Off and the Snacktown Fall Fest. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
Nay and nay. Anyone else nay?
Yeah.
Motion carries.
That's bull.
We'll move now into council workshop and finance. Vice President Kress.
Number one, consideration of a motion to approve a grant application in the amount of $2,000 to be placed in the children's program room at Gunther Memorial Library.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor of it signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Number two, consideration of a motion to authorize the advertisement of an ordinance to amend the current rental registration ordinance.
So motion.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Councilor Kress. We'll move into enhancement, and for those of you in the room, that'll be Councilor Hegberg, who is joining us online. Councilor Hegberg?
Thank you. The consideration of motion to award including insurance of issuance of notice to proceed for a contract for the Green Core Improvement Doss Alley project in the amount of $189,060 to Shiloh Paving and Excavating, funded by the York County Committee Development Block Grant, contingent on the satisfactory review by the solicitor and engineer.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you, Councilor Hegberg. We will move into public safety. We also have Councilor Fuentes, who is joining us online. Councilor Fuentes?
Just a second here.
Okay.
Considering a motion to authorize the advertisement of the ordinance delegating authority, the security, or Secretary of Transportation, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Transportation to acquire right-of-way as may be required for and on behalf of the Hanover Borough, of the Borough of Hanover, for the construction of the Kinzig Lane and High Street temporary traffic signals.
Second.
Am I talking loud?
Yes, we got it.
Okay.
It was a little broken up, I think, because of the connection, but we got it and heard you. There was a second in the room. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. We'll move into Department of Water Resources. I'll do this one. It's my pleasure to request your consideration, dear council members, to authorize the advertisement of an ordinance amending ordinance number 2057 to revise and replace the drought contingency plan as referenced in Chapter 355, Article 1 of the Hanover Borough Code.
Second.
Any discussion on the drought contingency plan? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, I'll call attention that management and official reports have been submitted. Are there any notes to highlight from the manager? None? I would like to, on behalf of Borough Council, to give a special recognition and thanks to AJ and the Public Works Department. That storm that we had last week, they worked very long hours under very difficult conditions without complaint. And I think it speaks to the pride that they put into their work performance as well as this job. And I think it also speaks to the leadership of their department as well as the Borough of Management in general. So thanks to all involved, and I want to give them a round of applause. Alrighty, at this time, we have other matters. I'd like to remind counselors that Secretary Felix has asked for your attendance in the affirmative or negative for the special meeting of council next Tuesday, August 6th at 5 p.m. on the High Street Kindig Lane signal light. So if you haven't told her whether you'll be here or not, please tell her before you adjourn, or excuse me, we adjourn the room this evening, not the meeting. Also, point out that National Night Out is the same evening. That is following, I believe, at 6 o'clock. So anyone who wants to attend can attend both. That 5 p.m. meeting is not going to take very long. It's just we need to do it. With that, I will open us up one last time for public comment, and I believe we do have Mr. Holt, who has registered for the second public comment portion. Mr. Holt?
I'm going to revisit the Hanover Reservoir site where you voted to permit a boat rental business. And it's a classic case. If you give a foot, they take the whole leg and they just keep on going. And that is, you know, I've looked through the contract, I looked through all the specifications, everything, and there's nothing in here, sir, that says they could put signs up along the road by the entrance to the boat ramp. And I just wondered, how does that happen, that they can put up signs when it was never mentioned? It's nowhere in the contract. And quite frankly, I don't even think they got permits for it. And the signs ought to come down. There's enough being done to scar the land there and to ruin the pristine beauty. It's not pristine, excuse me, but just the scenic beauty. It's never been built up like that before and messed around with. You look across from Westminster Road side on the east, or excuse me, the west, and you can see that all the way across the reservoir. And more important than anything else, it's our drinking water, and there should be a buffer. And there should be some place where there's not a lot of commercial activity. So I appreciate your time.
Okay. I'll ask community media, is there anyone online who would like to comment?
Those joining us via Zoom, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to address council.
I will close public comment and request a motion to adjourn from council.
So motion.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. We are adjourned. See you next month.